Hello, this is Charlie and I'm making another machine knitting video, but this time it's specifically for my friend Sam. So I want to imagine that you are a knitting machine manufacturer in the 1960s and you have invented a really cool new way of doing patterns on knitting machines. Previously they're just plain, or you have to do it by hand, or you have to push buttons or whatever. You've invented a brilliant new punch card system. Now, it does make the machine really, really complicated, so you're a bit worried about how you're going to make it appeal to the average British housewife who doesn't necessarily want a really complicated piece of machinery. So what do you do? Well, one option could be you could invest in a really good translation of the manual from the Japanese to make sure the instructions are super clear. Option two is you could make certain that all the buttons on the machine are super clearly labelled, that ergonomically it works really well, that there's no unlabelled nonsense on there or buttons with gibberish written underneath or anything like that. If you're Singer, the Singer Sewing and Knitting Machine Company, sadly you go for option three, which is make it appeal to the housewife by making it in a really garishly pink colour, bright pink, and if at all possible have a large pink protuberance poking out from the end of the machine. Now, despite that, this is actually a very, very capable machine. Now, I'm just going to do a couple of demonstrations. This might end up being a quite long video, but tough is what's needed. Okay, every time you see the needles move backwards and forwards, it's because I'm pulling on my enormous pink tool. But I'll do that off camera because I don't want to frighten anybody. So, I'm going to thread up my carriage, and you'll see that coming across in a minute. But the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to cast on only half of the needles. So you can see I've only got half the needles going. Across we go. Now, I'm going to carry on doing that, but now I'm going to knit on the other half of the needles. And then the first half of the needles, and then the other half of the needles. And I'm going to do that for a few rows, and I'll get a really nice cast on. It's been automatically done. This is the only knitting machine that will do an automatic cast on this well. Please note, I'm not being terribly careful because I'm having to knit over the top of a mobile phone. Oops, forgot that. Right, now, having cocked that up by forgetting to do the reversing lever a couple of times, that nevertheless should be a reasonably decent cast on, so I should be able to just knit now. Which, despite the fact I cocked up the cast on, I can in fact do. Now while I'm here, actually, I'm just going to hang the weights. Obviously all the accessories are pink as well, pink handles, pink everything, randomly except for the weights, which are blue. But I'm just going to hang these because now this is a really super tight cast. I'm just going to make it slightly looser, I think. Make it a slightly looser fabric, because I'm going to show you some of the things this machine can do, and they are gloriously hideous. Right, first things first, I've knitted a few rows. Now what if I don't just want plain stocking stitch? What if I want to have, let's say, a really horrible pattern? Well, fear not, because I have 20 of these cards. This one is card number 5, and rather brilliantly, it's got the instructions written on the card. So that, I'll see, let me show you. I'm just going to shift this over so you can see. Okay, now this is an electric machine, it even has a buzzer which tells you when to do things, which is not in any way annoying. So, let me show you. Now I'm going to do, firstly I think I'll do a slip stitch. And actually what I'm looking for, you probably can't see it very well in this video, but what I'm looking for is these little signs in the windows there, which tell me what to do. In this instance, I'm following the signs on the left-hand side, and it tells me to set this lever to that. Okay, obviously it doesn't tell you what it is or what it does or why you'd want to do that, but nevertheless, okay, now actually that's the only instruction I've got. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the lever, which will make a horrible buzzing noise, I think, and then just knit a row. Ready? Pull the lever. Nice buzzing noise. and knit a row. Now, next thing it says, it's got some instructions here, and then it's not going to have any instructions for a while. So it says A, that means just the yarn, one type of yarn in the air holder. This one means I need to push in the edge 2 buttons here. Okay, again, not labelled or anything, that would be far too helpful. These ones means they need to be forward, which they are. This one needs, this needs to be, oh, which way? Down. Lovely, which it is. I can now go ahead and knit by pulling my lever every row, pulling my ginormous big tool every row, and just knitting. And with a bit of luck, what we will see coming out is a glorious, what's this? A glorious slip stitch pattern. Let's see if it does. We're on 23 rows out of 40. You'll be able to tell when it gets to the end because the annoying buzzer will sound. Right, there you go, the buzzer sounded, which means I need to cancel my knitting and just knit a few rows in stocking stitch. Now let's see what we've got here. Oh, who would not want to have a jumper knitted with slip stitch diamonds all over it? Sorry, it's a bit out of focus. Now, that's all very well. That's quite a nice pattern, but I think we can do better than that. So I'm going to do one more pattern to show you. Okay, let's take this over here. Okay. And come on. Right, I'm going to take this card out. This is card number 5. You can see it says slip stitch pattern. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to turn it over, because on the back side there is a colour figured pattern. Now that will have a different set of instructions. So let's have a look. This is where we start. Okay, we set that to that way. Okay, right. Now then, so our first row is just knitted, but our second row says AB, so I have to put 2 colours of yarn in. Whoa! So let's just pop this second colour in. Okay. Now hold on. Has that button pushed in? Lisa, there's that one. Right. Okay. So with a bit of luck, this should just catch and knit across. Let's have a look and see. Oh, hey, look at that. Amazing. Right. Now then, let's see if I can get to do this just by hanging the edge weights. Sometimes these machines don't really like it. I've not knitted Farrell before on this, so let's see how successfully I can get it to do it. Okay, so this, don't forget, this is the same card. With a bit of luck, we'll see the same shapes coming out, this time in twin colours. So, sorry about this, just, there we go. Marvellous. So, let's get on with it. I'm going to go slightly slower for the first few rows, just to make sure we're all good. There we go, and that's the end. Right, so what I'll do now is I will just break the yarn and knit a couple of rows of plain knitting just to give it something to finish up on. So let's go across carefully. Lovely. Then I'm going to break this yarn and take it off, and we'll take it off and have a look at it, a proper look at it. So now then, if I have a look on the front of this piece of knitting, because obviously that's the back, what we get, ooh, a nice garish pattern. Again, who wouldn't want that? Okay, now actually you can do several things, so let me show you. Here's one I made earlier. So here is another slip stitch pattern. Here is a tuck stitch pattern that I mildly cocked up at the bottom, but there you go. And then this one is a delightful pattern all the way across like that. Now, who wouldn't want to have a jumper covered in those? So that is this delightful Singer Magic Memory knitting machine. As I say, it's mostly for the benefit of Sam to see if he would actually like it. So I hope that was a good sort of précis. Goodbye, and I'll see you later.